There are many misunderstandings regarding angels, what they actually are, and due to this, we will look at this from two perspectives, the first being from the context of the history and the hunter-gatherers. Way back when, before setting off on a journey, an elder would probably proffer this advice. You may meet messengers from a few generations ago. They were sent back along traditional routes, but it can take a while to get to you, so the messenger may seem unfamiliar, but it's an ancestor's descendant, and the message is important. They're telling you news about what they have or haven't found, or important news. You see, there was a time when hunter-gatherers would send people and a message back to groups following or living together. Due to the great distances, sometimes it would be a descendant who reached the people. So potentially, even though they may look slightly different, a message would be delivered. From this, there formed an idea of how ancestors would go ahead before them and send messages back regarding the news. Eventually, after many years, the concept remained, but got translated into various languages, eventually ending up with the contemporary angel, from the Greek. This concept is confirmed by Christ going ahead before them. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. John 14:3, and he does indeed return. Also, in some cultures, travelers and caravans would send people ahead for lodgings, food, water, reconnoiter the land for enemies and danger, so the idea was cemented in their minds. Some of the earliest beliefs encouraged ancestor worship, contact and communication with them, and yes, this also encouraged the idea of an ancestor sending a message, just as the hunter-gatherers would. So when one takes into consideration these aspects, they're not angels per se as we think, but literal messengers. They never have wings unless in a vision or dream, when they represent a swift message, one that was brought with haste. Also, instead of listing their heritage as credentials, son of X, son of W, son of V, etc., it was simpler to say, don't be afraid. This was because of the generational difference in appearance as well. This first perspective is probably not what you were expecting to hear, as no doubt you were expecting a comparison between angels and demons. So, if that's what you were searching for, here's that perspective now. When one looks around, there are many wonderful depictions of angels, demons and the devil in a variety of art forms. We know of Clarence from the film It's a Wonderful Life, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Samael and many other angels, and imagine them to be somewhat splendid, pure, ethereal, with resplendent wings and halos. Writings like Dante's Divine Comedy and Lewis's Screwtape Letters proffer insight into the devil and his machinations. What we have come to know as angels, demons and the devil are ideas born from a very long time ago, which have adapted and grown with age, but do angels and the devil really exist? And if so, what are they exactly? Let's take a look at angels first. The word itself is borrowed from the Greek, angelos, which is the equivalent of the Hebrew, malak. The meaning of angelos and malak is messenger. In some variations it's implied that it is the action of taking, bringing a message, but generally it is accepted that it relates to messages and the messenger. When we look at situations where messengers appear in spiritual texts, we actually discover that contrary to Giotto's vision, angels don't have wings. They predominantly look human. It is only when they are in visions and dreams that they appear to have wings, like the seraphim and cherubs. Whether or not they are human though is up for debate, as there's no strict genesis of the angels, save anecdotal evidence and first-hand encounters in scripture and life. Zoroastrians and Jews have them as like human but infer they are divine in nature, having an eternal spirit. In Islam, they are divine beings, yet in other traditions there are many variations which have them being goodness knows what with assorted powers and attributes. Yet the history and evolution of our ideas around angels has changed over centuries, so let's go back to the first references to angels. In Zoroastrianism, there are Fravashi and Yazatas, which are the first known comparatives to angels. The Fravashi are guides assigned to individuals like guardian angels, who originally patrolled and guarded the boundaries of heaven. They descended to earth and protected us from the drudge, and to be personifications of ideas we should strive towards. They are also the energy of God, defend order from chaos, and can fly like birds. Yazatas also personify ideals and ideas, protect us from evil, and try to assist humankind. They can be local and represent places, objects in nature, or be located in specific items and locations like water, sky, and also represent various quantities such as justice, wisdom, etc. They are created by Ahura Mazda, God, and are not human, yet are not gods. They're somewhere in between. In Hinduism, strictly speaking, there aren't angels as such. There are devas, good gods, from a term denoting being bright, shining, like light, and there are bad gods, ahuras, asuras. Interestingly, the terms are reversed in Zoroastrianism. Ahura equals good, deva equals bad. Comparatively, they are not the same as angels, yet some argue that certain avatars of Hindu deities are angels. There is a religion that bridges Zoroastrianism and Hinduism called Yazidi, which is a monotheistic religion. They believe in one God who created the world and left it in hands of 7 angelic beings, Heftsir, who on occasion take on human form to aid our kind. To some, the Yazidi are considered devil worshippers due to them worshipping and revering Tawus Melik, the peacock angel, which is an emanation of God himself. They believe in reincarnation and revere trees, serpents, and birds. The Yazidi are servants of the Creator, and their ideas appear to have been born prior to Zoroastrianism. Although they are frequently portrayed as devil worshippers, they most certainly are not. The mistake occurs due to the Yazidi god, Exwede, asking the 7 angels that he will place in office to govern the world, to bow before the first man, Adam. The angels, called Heftsir, the 7 mysteries, refused to do so, for if they did, they would be bowing to someone other than Exwede, God, so they saved the act of reverence purely for God and no other. This concept is similar to the events around Iblis, the Shaitan, Satan of Islam, who was thrown out of heaven after refusing to bow to Adam. Due to this misunderstanding, prejudice has arisen historically, leading to persecution of the Yazidi from some Muslim and Christian traditions. So not only is this a misunderstanding, but also the Yazidi do not have a hell or version of the devil. They consider evil to be the choices of men and women, so much so that Malik Tawus Melik are being made of the spirit, source of God, looking like a peacock, descended to earth, and as he did, thousands of years worth of tears fell upon the evil ones and extinguished the fires of sin. I mention the Yazidi as I feel that some of their ideas permeated into our modern beliefs, but I'll explain how later on. Within Judaism, we have our typical angels, which in turn influence our interpretation of them in Christianity and Islam. We have the basic assumption that they look human but aren't, unless in dreams or visions, are made by God, are immortal and messengers of inspiration, hope, and revealers of future events to the chosen few. So with all this information, what do we make of it? The origin of angels is presumed and not written down, yet they have become entwined with religions old and new. Would it help if we looked at the devil? Will this enlighten us? Let's take a look. In Zoroastrianism there is dualism, good and evil, whereas in Hinduism there's karma, cause and effect. The devil in Zoroastrianism is Angra Mainyu, a destructive and evil spirit. Moreover, it's a concept being the antithesis of good, order, and is malignant. More modern translations enlighten further by suggesting that Ahriman, Angra Mainyu, has never been and never will be, and is non-reality. Within the Roman Catholic Church, there is a text called Opus Sanctorum Angelorum, which says that Ahriman is actually a demon in the rank of evil powers, whose duty it is to obfuscate the truth from humans. In early Hinduism, Vritra leads Danavas, the Asuras, enemies of the gods, which evolved eventually into a sort of devil-like idea, which is more an understanding that it's ideas that are evil rather than having a devil per se. Some things try to inspire desire, greed, need, and these are demons. Spirits, known as yakshas, rakshasas, and bhutas. So, like Zoroastrianism, the idea is more like a non-real idea planted in someone's mind, becoming a reality as the result of one's own choice and action. In Judaism, many Jews don't believe in a literal devil, instead they treat evil as an abstract which occasionally is personified as one character, Satan or Lucifer. The idea of the devil in Judaism is Yetzer Hara, which is evil inclination, not an actual entity. However, the idea of a devil grew and evolved. In Christianity, the devil has become a personification of evil, which Christ saw, falling like lightning from heaven. Now, this is a very curious thing to say, and I have a feeling that it relates back to when we, as a species, learnt about and relied on observing the seasons and constellations. The first stories that were created by hunter-gatherers were ones linking the heavenly constellations with heroes and travel, and can change meaning according to the seasons. Also, as species we would know the environmental impact from when some meteorites strike the Earth, for they can cause devastation, and this has been linked into comparing evil or perceiving angels as falling, or fallen. According to your culture, you will have tales and myths that relate to the constellations in the skies. The most famous of these are in Greek, Roman myths. In Hebrew, the name Lucifer is Halel, meaning morning star, which is derived from the Canaanite myth of Atta, god of the planet Venus, Halel, leading us to a stellar interpretation once more. It is Atta who attempted to scale the walls of the heavenly city, but was vanquished by the god of the sun, according to the Canaanite tale. If you have ever ventured out into dark of early morning, according to which season you are experiencing and your location on the planet, you might see a very bright star. This is Venus, and the sun eventually arrives and Venus disappears until next evening. I hope I'm conveying the idea to you effectively, and that you understand that Venus is Halel, the bright morning star in Hebrew, which in Latin is Lucifer, the bright one. This Lucifer is the devil and diabolical, a word based on the two Greek words dia, through, between, and volos, to put, to set. Together the words become diavolos or diabolos, meaning to place ideas or thoughts in the brain of somebody. It is an interesting mix of ideas, isn't it? So, to conclude, the devil is more of a concept representing ideas, inclination, the non-real becoming real through actions and choices. The idea of evil has anthropomorphized, become a human-like representation, the devil. It comes in very handy when explaining concepts of good and evil, for you can have a good guy and a bad one. This device allows easier understanding of ideas for the purpose of instructional tales. One important thing to mention here is that it is an assumption that the serpent in the Garden of Eden is the devil. It's not explicit. The serpent suggests to Eve that she should eat it. Then the blame game began. Everyone is punished and expelled from Eden, with cherubim guarding the entrance, exit, and a flaming sword flashing, back and forth, to guard the way to the tree of life. So it was the idea the serpent placed which was evil, not necessarily the serpent itself, who is completely unnamed. An interesting thing here is that it indirectly yet geographically explains three locations of religious ideas. First is Proto-Judaic belief in Canaan, which will be heavily influenced by the Persians and Zoroastrianism. Second is the early Yazidi who worship serpent and a peacock in an area at the convergence of Turkey, Syria and Iraq, and thirdly there's the Proto-Hindu ideas east of Eden in the northern Indias. It is due to things like this that I am of the opinion that the account in Genesis has many layers, this geography being just a hint of a layer. I explain my ideas fully in another article, Understanding Genesis. Getting back to what I was leading to, we can understand that the devil is a concept representing evil and angels are messengers. But don't be fooled into thinking they don't exist. In the film The Usual Suspects, it says that one of the best illusions ever performed was how the devil convinced everyone that he didn't exist. And inasmuch as evil is an idea, when it's enacted and performed, you are doing the devil's work, so to speak. You are arguably being the devil in that instance. Evil exists, yet it has been overcome by a clause embedded in all things, death, it comes to us all things. For the faithful, God has triumphed, for those who aren't, God's still triumphant. God encourages and brings hope to us via messengers, who won't have wings, unless in a dream or vision, and will look human, but probably aren't. I really love the fact that mystery still surrounds angels, for we only have hints at what they are and what they do. I believe that I have met one of these messengers, a long time ago, and it didn't have wings, a halo or white robe, hence my belief in their existence. These messengers have brought promise, encouragement, advice to us throughout the ages. And it's so important to understand that the very first stories we told each other were about the hunters, animals and heroes in the night sky. Sometimes gods and angels have been representations of the bright stars and planets, their celestial movements signifying various ideas and actions. This ancient medium also recorded planetary alignments, comets and other observations, capturing moments of the cosmos in a relative way, linking our history, our planet with the movements of the heavens. If by chance you happen to view the night welcoming the dawn in spring or autumn, you may see Venus twinkling in the sky, and if you're really lucky you might catch a glimpse of a shooting star as well. Is that the devil sending his fallen angels? Well, that's certainly an idea,